Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Good morning, members of the jury. You guys made it. No problems with the weather. We'll get started. Mr. Lewis, you call your next witness, please.
Thank you, Officer. They call Joe Samples.
Members of the jury, you will recall that we're in the state's case in chief. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Your Honor.
If you would please come up to the front of the courtroom, and before you have a seat, could you please turn and face me and raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please have a seat. Be responding to questions from Mr. Lewis, and who will take this witness for the defense?
All right.
And perhaps also Ms. Madsen, who's to your right. You may proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Samples. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
If you could please introduce yourself to the jury by stating your name and spelling it for the court reporter.
Joe Hubert Samples, JoeHubertSamples.
And Mr. Samples, where do you currently live?
The east side. Well, condominium. It used to be apartment. Now it's turned into a condominium.
Okay. And what's the name of the condominium? Okay. Where you live in? How long have you been living there?
4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I'm not sure exact how long, but
And were you living there on January the 18th, 2017?
yes, there was.
Okay. On that particular day, at approximately a little bit before 5 a.m., you made a 911 call. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And why did you make that call?
Suspicious vehicle.
Okay. And what kind of vehicle was it? Do you recall?
Chrysler, I think. I don't remember exactly.
Was it an SUV? Was it a
SUV, a smaller one. Yes, sir.
If I represented to you, it was a black Dodge Journey. Would you have any reason to dispute that?
Right, Dodge Journey. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, what did you observe that morning when you saw the vehicle that made you call 911?
I noticed that the vehicle, I had recognized it from being there prior, the morning before, and I noticed that the windows were fogged up. And
okay, let me stop you.
Yes, sir.
We'll take this a step at a time. Just kind of listen carefully to my question and answer, and then if there's another question, I'll follow up with another question.
yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so you stated that you saw the vehicle the day prior, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall approximately what time that was?
10:30 in the morning.
Okay. So this would have been that prior Tuesday, January the 17th of 2017, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so what did you observe when you saw it the day before on the 17th at 10:30 a.m.? Tell us about that.
There was just 2 individuals asleep in the vehicle, and they were covered up. I could only see just their forehead and their eyes closed. That's all I could see.
Where is your apartment in relation to the back parking lot of the complex? Where is your apartment in relation to the back parking lot?
It's on when you're coming into the apartment, it's the left driveway, and I have 2 entrances. It's on that side, about midway of the apartment complex.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as Defendant's Exhibit number 11. If we're looking at the back parking lot here, and over here is going to be where the car is located. Here is the entrance here. Where would
Right.
your apartment be?
It would be up in here, right here.
I'm sorry.
It'd be, let's see the vehicle, it would be right up in here.
Okay,
Because
so-
there's a set that comes back this way, and then there's another, there's another apartment, because I have an entrance here and an entrance in the courtyard area.
Okay. Let's be on this side of this entrance here.
Right, yes, sir.
And so are you able to actually see the parking lot from your apartment?
To a degree, yes, sir. I have cameras inside my windows that can see pretty much all the way down, but I had to walk. Yes, sir.
So what was it about the vehicle that drew your attention to it that day on the 17th at 10:30 in the morning?
The fact that it had been there prior, the second time.
Okay, well, I'm referring to the first time you saw it.
Oh, first time, what, I'm saying it again, repeat?
Matt, scoot back just a little.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, just a little.
Okay.
The first time that you saw the vehicle on January the 17th at 2017, you say you saw it at 10:30 in the morning. Is that
Right,
correct?
right.
What drew your attention to it that day, the first day that you saw it?
What drew my attention?
Yes.
That it was a vehicle that I didn't recognize.
Okay, so you didn't recognize the vehicle, so you decided to go out and investigate?
Just walk over there because I was going out to leave.
Okay. And so were you able to see inside the vehicle at that time?
Pardon?
Were you able to see inside the vehicle?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you said that you saw two individuals inside the vehicle at that time?
Yes, sir, I did.
Can you describe what they look like?
I couldn't really tell. The gentleman, I couldn't tell what nationality was. He looked white.
Okay, so it looked like a white male. How about the other individual, male or female?
Possibly Hispanic, maybe, light complected.
Male or female?
Female. They're in the driver's seat.
So the female was in the driver's seat, and where was the white male that you saw? Where was he seated?
In the passenger.
Okay. And you said they were asleep?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did they have anything covering them on top?
Yes, sir. I think she had a leopard blanket or something over her, and I'm not sure what he had. I think one of them did. I can't remember which one.
Okay. And so did you make contact with them at that time?
Oh, no, sir. They were asleep.
Okay. And so what happened at that point after you observed the vehicle?
I called the owner of the property.
Okay. All right. And what was the point of that call?
Just to inform him.
Okay. All right. So you went on about your business. Did you see the vehicle again that particular day on that Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
On the 17th, did you see the vehicle again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When?
That night, that morning.
Okay. So going into Wednesday morning on the 18th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you observed the vehicle again. What did you do at that point?
I went and called the police.
Okay. Prior to calling the police, did you make contact with the occupants at that time?
Say again?
Did you make contact with the occupants of the vehicle prior to calling the police?
No, sir.
Okay. Why not?
Because the windows were fogged up and I just didn't feel comfortable. I felt uneasy about it.
Okay.
And it was dark.
Okay. So you called the police, and did the police respond? Well, let me ask you this. When you called the police, what information did you give the dispatcher?
Just that they had been there before.
Okay. Did you give a description of the vehicle?
I believe I did, sir. And the license number, I believe, as well.
Okay. So did the police respond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you call approximately how quickly they responded? Did it seem like a short time, long time?
It was pretty quick. I was shocked
Okay.
for Dallas. Because, you know why.
All right. Did you see when the police got there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I did.
Were you inside of your apartment or outside of your apartment when the police got there?
I was fixing to go back in, and they pulled up, and I thought, wow.
Okay. So what did you do when the police got there?
I just observed.
Okay. Did you observe from inside your apartment or outside?
Outside on the sidewalk.
Okay. And tell us what you observed when the police got there. What happened?
Well, as it progressed and they started to seal off the area and all the driveways with police cars, I went up on a platform because they were focused on the vehicle in the back left parking area.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State Exhibit number 7, okay? Can you tell me whether or not you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
Is that photograph of approximately where you were standing at the time that you observed this incident?
Approximately, yes, sir.
Okay, and is it a fair and accurate depiction of the scene as you viewed it at that time?
Yes, sir.
Next on the offer of state exhibit number 7 to Mr. Counsel. And this has been tendered and discovered to you.
State 7 is admitted for all purposes. You may publish.
Thank you. So, Mr. Samples, how would you describe your viewpoint, your vantage point? How well could you see the events that were taking place at that time?
I could see the upper torso of the officers maneuvering around the vehicle. They had their flashlights on the vehicle and then eventually pulled up the squad car and had a spotlight on it. And I could see not over the covered parking, but underneath it, above the various vehicles and trucks.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
you noted that you could see upper torsos, but was there something obstructing your entire view? What was obstructing your view at that time?
Just the vehicles parked there.
Okay. And what was the lighting like at that time from your vantage point?
There was, you could see it lit up according to the positions of the officers because they had flashlights that were maneuvering around. And I could clearly see what they were doing, and they were addressing the vehicle. Yes, sir.
Okay, how about the light from where you were standing? Was there light where you were?
Yes, sir, there was an overhead street light.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and publish state exhibit number 7, Your Honor. And so we're looking at state exhibit number 7, and it's showing, you described that you were up on a platform, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there some stairs or something right there?
Yes, there's one section of stairways. It goes to a platform, and then it goes up to another direction, a set of stairways. Yes, sir.
Okay, and in the distance, we can see the carport area, is that correct?
Say again?
We can see the carport
Oh, yes, sir.
photograph.
Yes, sir.
Now, obviously, this wasn't the same day as the incident, and so the vehicles aren't exactly the same, but we do see vehicles parked upon the carport area, is that correct?
Pretty much, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would say I was probably closer to the wall and could see a little farther to the left,
Okay.
as far as the vehicle is parked at the very end, which was a green Corolla.
Sure, okay. And at that time, there were vehicles parked upon the carport that you said there was obstructing your view?
Somewhere, but there was mostly vehicles. I think there was one or two my truck, and then there was another truck, but it was more toward the first parking. Yes, sir.
And so you say you described the officers approaching the vehicle. What did you see at that time? Did you hear anything? What did you see?
Just that they addressed the vehicle, and I'm not sure exactly. I think I said 5 or 6 officers converged on the location of the vehicle, and
Okay, could you hear, you said they addressed the vehicle. How did they address the vehicle?
they addressed the vehicle to show their hands, get out of the vehicle, put their hands out the window several times throughout the several minutes. I'm not sure exactly how many minutes.
Okay. And was there any response that you could see or that you could hear to the officer's commands?
I did see the passenger moving around and looking around, so they were aware pretty much immediately.
Okay. And you could see that from your vantage point? You could
Yes,
see
sir.
somebody moving inside the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At what point was that? Was that prior to the vehicle coming on? Did you see when the vehicle came on?
Well, I could see it because they had the vehicle lit up with spotlight and flashlights. Initially flashlights, and then at a point there were 2 squad cars parked to the white building to the left, and one pulled up and then pulled in front of the van that was parked next to the Journey.
Okay, just listen to my question, Mr. Samples. You stated that you could see movement from the passenger inside the vehicle, is that correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
My question is, at what point in time did you see that?
Just within a short period of time. I don't know how long.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because they were very loud and direct, of instructing them to get out of the vehicle and show their hands and things like that. Yes, sir.
Okay, so what happened at that point?
They just continued to ask them to show their hands and get out of the vehicle.
Okay.
Or,
And
you
then,
know,
was there any response from the occupants of the vehicle?
not that I could see, sir, no,
Okay.
no.
What happened at that point? So the officers are giving commands, there's no response from the people inside the vehicle. What's the next thing that happens?
Eventually, the vehicle started to back up. You know, it turned its lights on, and I think right before, maybe at some point, the police car had hit a strobe light,
Okay.
and then the vehicle started backing up.
Let me ask you this, you personally saw the vehicle start backing up?
Yes, sir, I saw the lights put into reverse.
Where were the officers at that time?
They were around the vehicle, and then once the vehicle started to back up, you know, and go into reverse, it backed up into a cruiser and bumped into it.
Okay. So the cruiser come back, the vehicle comes back and strikes the cruiser. What happens at that point?
It accelerated very fast
Okay.
and tried to crash through the fence.
Okay. And then what happens at that point?
They bounced off the fence.
Okay. And then what happened at that point?
It stopped a minute and then put its car in reverse again.
Okay. So when the car came back in reverse the second time, could you see where the officers were?
The second time, when it started backing up the second time, there was, I believe, an officer that got out of the vehicle. I believe there was an officer in the vehicle, the police cruiser.
Okay.
And he got out of the vehicle, and I'm not sure if he had his door open or where he went, but they just sort of repositioned. I couldn't tell you exactly where every officer was, but I started paying more attention at that point because when the vehicle started to back up the second time, there were some officers that were back behind the vehicle when it backed up.
Okay. And what happened to those officers who were behind the vehicle at that time?
Well, they were between the fence at the far left and the green Corolla. Before then, I think there was one or two officers that were in between the white truck and the green Corolla, because that's my truck. I know it. And then I think they maneuvered around, because when they saw the vehicle started backing up the second time, which I'm sorry. Then when the vehicle started backing up the second time, there was two officers, I thought maybe two or three. I thought, you know, there was three, but I don't know, I just saw two that when the vehicle started backing up, the first officer, one of the officers said stop or don't move or something like that effect. I don't remember exactly, but he told the vehicle don't move or stop or don't move or something like that.
Okay,
And this was the second time. Yes, sir,
Let
Mr. Lewis.
me just focus you real quick. So the vehicle comes back the second time.
Yes, sir.
You stated that you believe that there were either 2 or 3 officers behind the vehicle at that time.
Oh, there were.
Okay, so
There were.
what happened to those officers as the vehicle?
Well, the vehicle was starting, instead of backing out in this direction where the cruiser was here, parked here, because they had bumped it, which I didn't know at the time it was her, she backed up to miss the cruiser and swung around this way and then came back like that, and the officers were coming out from behind the vehicle. They were behind her, the vehicle.
Okay, so my question is, what did the officers do? What did the officers do when the vehicle came back the second time? So you say they were behind the vehicle?
Yes, sir, they hollered, stop or don't move, and then I saw one officer, when she was backing up, come from behind the cruiser, and from behind the journey that was moving back, and I saw she just kept rolling. You know, it was slow. You know, it was faster than when she backed up the first time, but one officer just came, you know, there was two officers, and one of the officers as she was backing up, I saw, and I don't know if it was from the one of the officers that said, "Stop, don't move," or whether.
Let me stop you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. The vehicle comes back the second time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so your testimony, there were 2 or 3 officers that were behind the vehicle at that time, correct?
Yes, sir. They were trying to get out from behind her.
Okay, did they stay behind the vehicle? Did they move from out of the path of the vehicle? What did they do? Okay, let's not focus on what was said.
The first officer headed over toward where the cruiser was at.
Okay, so one officer moved out of the way.
Right,
What
and
about the others?
when the officer said halt or stop, I saw looked like a brake light, but she didn't stop. It was just a continuous rolling. She didn't stop what she was doing. She just continually rolled on and stuff.
Okay, what about the other officer? You said there were 2 or 3 to your
Right, and the second officer, and she kept going, and then the officers were separated. They weren't together. They were, you know, they were coming out from behind the vehicle, and the second officer, she was definitely farther back.
Okay.
Because, as she said, because the officers were separated, and when they were moving from behind the vehicle, the second officer just cleared the vehicle
Okay, so the
from
second
when it was
officer,
backing up. Yes, sir.
the
Yes,
second
sir.
officer moved out of the path of the vehicle as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the officers that you saw behind the vehicle moved out of the way of the vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Just pretty close. It was close. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so what happens at that point, after the officers move from out behind?
Then I think they said stop again or don't move or something like that, and they opened fire.
Okay, could you?
I don't know who fires.
Okay, that was my next question. So
Yeah.
you heard gunfire. How much gunfire did you hear? Do you recall how many shots? you
Well,
heard?
initially I said 6 or 7 because there's been continuous gunfire in our neighborhood, fireworks all the time. So I said 6 or 7, and I just thought from other shooting in the neighborhood was all the time that it was an echo, because it does echo in that area and stuff. So,
Mr. Samples, how many gunshots do you think that you heard?
pardon?
How many gunshots do you think that you heard?
Well, if I was counting the echo, 13, 14.
Okay. And you said that you could not tell who was shooting, is that correct?
No, sir, I couldn't.
Okay. So what do you do, or what happens after you hear the gunshots? What happens at that point?
The vehicle rolled back.
Okay, and then what happened?
I saw at that point, and I'm sure it was at that point, there was someone that went along the driver's side.
Someone as in officer or somebody?
It was an officer, and I assumed that they were trying to secure the vehicle, and whoever was driving, to see what their status was. Yes. And after that, no, I went down.
Okay, let me ask you this. You testified that when the vehicle came back the second time, you saw her braking? Did I hear that correctly?
I believe I only saw one, but it was one time for sure, right? And then it got to a point where I couldn't see the left because my truck was blocking it.
Okay, but just so we're all clear, the second time the vehicle came back, you did see at least the vehicle brake at least one time?
Yeah, it was more of a moving just tap.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't, no, it was just a moving tap.
tap the brakes?
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you characterize the speed of the vehicle at the time when it came back the second time?
It seemed more urgent. It seemed, it was a little faster. I don't know exactly, how fast it was going, but it definitely was a little faster. And it's just my opinion from watching her hit the fence. It just seemed more urgent and desperate to get out of there, not comply. Yes, sir.
Okay. You said that when she came back, she did tap the brakes though, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when she came back, she made an effort, sounds like, to miss the squad car when she came back the second time, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's possible if she was desperate to get out of there, she could have came back and slammed the squad car again, correct?
Well, my opinion, the reason she
Well,
didn't,
Mr.
Objection, Your Honor, if you'll allow that witness to answer his questions.
All right, why don't you re-ask the question?
She could have come back and slammed the vehicle, correct, the second time? Yes or no?
am I allowed to answer it?
If you don't understand the question, you can certainly explain why you don't.
Do you not understand the question, Mr. Samples?
Or if you feel like it doesn't call for a yes or no answer, then you can tell him that too.
I'm sorry,
If you feel like the question doesn't call for a yes or no answer, then you can explain that to him.
ask the question.
Yes, sir. The question is, she could have come back and hit the squad car the second time, couldn't she?
She could have,
She could have, correct?
she could have.
Okay. And did it appear to you as though she was trying to strike officers? Did it appear to you that she was trying to hit some officers with her car?
Honestly, don't know if she even knew the officers were back there.
Okay.
I think she was just trying to get out of there
Okay.
and go back in the way she came.
All right, let me re-ask my question. Did it appear to you as though, well, I guess you answered the question. Did it appear to you from the way that she was driving the vehicle that she was trying to hit anybody with the vehicle?
I don't know her, what she was thinking.
Okay. All right. From what you saw, was anybody in the path of the vehicle at the time that she reversed it that was in danger of being struck by the vehicle?
Well, my main concern was those officers that were behind her and were maneuvering to get out from behind her when the vehicle was backing up. And again, I said, I don't think she knew they were even there because there was dark areas of the property. And so I just felt she was desperate to get out there.
Mr. Simmons, let me ask you a question. You remember, we spoke several times about this case, right?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall telling me on a prior occasion that you did not believe, based upon what you saw, that she was trying to strike any of the officers? Do you recall telling me that?
No, I don't, sir.
Well, you told me that on one of our meetings, okay? Are you changing your testimony today?
I'm not sure exactly what we were talking about. You recall that, but
Yeah, I asked you, did it appear from what you saw that she was trying to strike any officers? And your answer to that question was no. Did you recall that conversation with Mr. Samples?
no, sir, no. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Samples. I'll pass the motion.
Ms. Mattson?
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Samples.
Morning.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm going to set up a diagram and have you talk to the jury a little about that parking lot and what it looked like that night, okay?
Okay.
May this witness step down, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Samples, will you step down
Oh,
here?
sure.
This is the diagram defense exhibit number 11
Okay.
that he showed you. Mr. Samples, you said that the apartments are here. There's two buildings here, correct?
Right, there's a laundromat that's right here, and this is apartment 109.
Okay. And you were kind of one of the crime watch people for this apartment complex, correct?
Yes, voluntarily,
Tell me about the people who live in this apartment. A lot of good people,
yes. Mostly, yes.
hardworking folks.
Right.
You guys have had some issues with things happening in that apartment complex that don't make you feel safe.
I'm going to object to relevance, Your Honor.
All right.
There are occasions that he's aware that this apartment complex had nothing to do with this case.
All right. I think that's about as far as I'm gonna let you get into it, okay? So the objection is sustained.
You've kind of taken it upon yourself to watch out of what's going on in this complex, correct?
Well, yes, because my apartment owner manager is the organizer for the crime watch in our neighborhood, as most neighborhoods have crime watch, and should.
And you guys are trying to build community, you're trying to look out for each other.
Oh, absolutely. And I wasn't the only one. There were other people that lived in the apartment that watched out, that came and gone, and just as we should in every neighborhood, right?
And you were the one that called 911, correct?
Correct.
So that would be your voice that we would hear on the 911 call and the 911 operator.
Correct.
And you called and reported it in the early morning hours of January 17th, is that
Correct.
right?
Uh-huh.
Tell me about what the early morning hours are.
What?
About what time, do you remember?
5, between 5 and 6 o'clock.
And it would just be your two voices, the 911 operator and yours on there.
Yes.
At this time, the defense would offer as defense exhibit number 23, the 911 call.
No objection.
Defense 23 is admitted for all purposes. You may publish.
If you want to go ahead and take a seat there, I'm going to go ahead and play it. We're having problems hearing it. There's a little bit of feedback. I'm going to try to start it over and see if I can fix that. Okay, Mr. Sanders?
Situation. We've had this going on in the last 2 days. This is the second time I've observed this individual standing in the back of our apartment over there yesterday morning. And the same vehicle parked in the same area. This accident is, I believe, I'm not sure if she's Hispanic or not. So was driving, we didn't know this time when we male in there, apparently maybe white. It is a kind of a dark, either dark blue or black. I believe it's a some sort of Dodge Journey, I believe, license plate G N Z 0207. GNZ 0207 Texas plate. And they're at 4700 each side. And there, when you're facing the building, you have 2 entrances. The left entrance all the way to the back, and then all the way to the left. They're parked beside, on the left side of a old model white van. And when you all saw the other second time I've been there, I did, I think there was someone actually a couple nights ago, the producer was actually sleeping on the same side, just on the sidewalk. And there's just been, I think, someone, I believe it was called 114, I thought last night about some other individuals, other than I don't think they were related, but I don't know what it is, you can also come to the ladies, but it's going to be okay. If I think discouraged, we'll ask them that, this is a place to be sleepy because we've had different things going here, break-ins and custom vehicles. It was like a couple months ago, so everybody here is a little jumpy about just people hanging around and don't live here. And just citizens, so if you could see if they could ask them if they could move along. I know definitely I'm kind of a car wash guy here, and I know I definitely have both the owner of the building. So I talked to him last night, actually about it, and he was just my message about the one issue, the one is that in the same vehicle that was sitting out there. So apparently, they're each using it one in their hand, and they just move on. We just definitely appreciate it and feel a lot more comfortable.
That's really fine for the apartment, talking about east side of Cisco.
East side, yes, yeah, it's off between, Carroll and Fitch.
Okay.
I just concerned with it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
Ms. Temple, so that was your 911 call?
Yes, it was.
And you talk about that they're parked in the dark part of the parking lot where bad things happen?
Yeah, yes,
That's the back part of the parking lot where it's the least amount of lighting, correct?
exactly.
And it's where, in the past, people have done things there that make the residents feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And you guys have said, hey, let's try to keep each other safe. If you see something, report it.
Right, right.
And you even say on there, you just want the police to come and tell them, move along. We
Right,
we know you're not supposed to be here. You need to move along.
right.
The state just admitted an exhibit with you, and the state's exhibit number 7, is that the one they just showed with you?
Right.
We actually, do you remember my investigator? She's sitting back there.
Right, right.
You were nice enough to meet with her and show us what happened that night, correct?
Correct.
And you showed her exactly where you were standing, sir?
Correct.
And she took a camera and used 35 millimeters so it would more accurately show what the human eye gets,
right.
correct?
Yeah, that exactly right there.
Okay. You understand that on cameras it depends on the lens of how much you're going to see?
Right.
And
right.
we picked what would be closest to what the human eye can see.
Right.
So does Defense Exhibit number 22 more accurately show what you could see?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Defense would offer Defense Exhibit number 22 into evidence.
It's admitted. You may publish.
So, Mr. Samples, this photograph would be taken from what you could see where you were standing when this all took place?
Right, right. Actually, that truck that's there, it was a similar color, I believe, truck.
Which truck are you talking about?
That one there.
This one?
Was that there was one there, and then you see the truck at the end. That is, that's where the green Corolla was, and the open spot, that's where my white truck was parked.
Okay.
Ms.
You
Madsen,
shown
could you refer to that as by its number?
Defense Exhibit 22.
Thank you.
Ms. Samples, if you look on that screen next to you when you're talking to me, this is your truck right here?
No, where there's an open space, my truck was parked. Sorry.
Okay. So this is where the green Corolla was,
Right,
and this is where your truck was.
right.
And then this white fence was the fence that was there that night, correct?
Yes, it was.
But this back brown fence, this has been replaced, is that correct?
Exactly. There was less work, and all the trees back there were cut down because of concerns for the electrical poles and that were in the back there.
That makes sense. Now, this carport was actually full that night,
I
correct?
believe it was, yes,
And that was why you say you could see their torsos but not their feet.
Oh, absolutely, I can see it, yeah.
And in using this diagram, this is going to be the white fence that stayed the white fence along the side.
I'm sorry, say again?
This is the white fence that's still white in Defense Exhibit 22,
Yes,
and then this is the fence that's been replaced.
right,
And your angle is going to be from back here.
Right, because I might have had, I might have leaned down a little bit to see. I could see underneath. Well, just what you see right there, I could see.
You were trying to see as much as you could, right?
Yeah, I thought it would be resolved, you know, when they were at very quickly. And when the vehicle started backing up the first time and then tried to crash through the vehicle, the fence, that's when I started paying a little more attention specifically. Yes.
Did this very quickly turn into a dangerous situation for these officers?
Objection, speculation.
Now, objection's overruled. As long as you stay within what you saw or what you observed, you can certainly give your opinion. Go ahead.
Well, I know that, you know, I've talked to both sides, and they both know I don't want to do this, but I have a civic duty, I have a duty to do this, and sorry.
Objection, non-responsive, Your Honor.
All right, that's objection sustained. Ms. Manson's question, you can ask that again.
Okay.
Sir, in your opinion, did this very quickly turn into a dangerous situation for these officers?
I don't know what officer fired. I don't know who or why, you know, but the last officer, if there was a concern, it would be for him. And I don't know his position in any of this, but it was because as the vehicle was backing up the second time, that first officer did clear, but the second officer barely cleared within just a second or two, and then the vehicle rolled back and they opened fire.
Could that vehicle have hurt one of those officers if it had hit them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
At that speed?
my opinion now, because that's probably an issue I have there at the department. People driving or backing out too fast, and it doesn't take much with a 3,000 or 4,000 pound vehicle to injure someone, in my opinion. Yes?
And in your opinion, the driver of that vehicle seemed desperate to get away?
My opinion, yeah. Yeah.
You used the word desperate. Why do you say desperate?
Well, they were blocked in, surrounded, outnumbered. I won't say outgunned because the officers didn't know, I'm sure, what was in the vehicle. And their main focus was on the vehicle. And thinking, why are you doing this? You know, I thought it was to get out of the vehicle, and it went on and on and on. And I thought, when he took off and hit the fence, I thought, what are you doing? You know?
Objection, non-responsive at this point, Your Honor.
All right, ask another question. Go ahead.
And you were concerned about the decisions she was making that night, weren't you?
Well, of course it was, yeah. And then when she did it the second time, I thought, and it's what I thought, who are these people? What have you done, you know? Because I always worry about if they're escaped felons, if they're on the run.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevant speculation.
I'll re-ask a question.
Objection sustained. Go ahead.
The way they were behaving that night, what did it make you think about them? From what you observed.
They were desperate to get out of there.
And it didn't matter who was going to get hurt, did it?
I was hoping no one would get hurt, right?
Objection's overruled. Go ahead.
You were hoping nobody would get hurt, weren't you?
Of course, yeah.
You were hoping that they would just comply, weren't you?
Absolutely. I was shocked in the whole thing. Why, you know, I to this day, hopefully I'll find out. I wonder.
Objection, relevant, sir.
The objection sustained.
I understand, Mr. Samples. At the end of the day, she had a lot of opportunities to get out of that car and just do what they were told, didn't they?
Yes,
And you were frustrated and sad that they didn't, weren't you?
of course. I got emotional every day for months.
Objection, relevant, Your Honor.
But from what
Objection is overruled. Go ahead.
from what you saw, Mr. Samples, from everything you observed, she was desperate to get out of there.
Objection, speculation about what the victim was thinking at that time.
As long as it's based on what you observed, you can answer the question, if that's your opinion.
Yes, that's my opinion. I strongly feel that. I ask it every day. Why would you not get out of the vehicle? And why would the passenger, as I found out more and more information,
Hang on
why
just a
didn't he try to
second.
stop
Hang
him?
on just a second. Ask your next question, please. Sir, I want you to listen to the question. Listen very carefully to what the lawyers are asking you.
Okay.
and confine your answers to the question, the very precise question that they're putting forward, okay?
Okay,
Both sides will have an opportunity to get more information from you if they need it, all right?
okay.
Thank you very
It's
much.
just a little hard hearing one ear. I'm a former Marine, and
Well, thank you for your
I had
service.
damage in just one ear a little bit, so.
That's all right.
Just a little hard of hearing.
All right, y'all talk louder. Go ahead.
Ms. Samples, I understand. It's odd the way we have conversations in the courtroom. My last question to you is, you saw officers behind that car when it was reversing, and you said the last officer barely made it out from behind that car.
It was very close, yes, yes.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Lewis?
One question, Your Honor.
Sure.
Do you recall speaking to officers on scene that night, Mr. Samples, directly after the shooting?
Just asking me questions about who it was and stuff, yeah.
Do you recall telling them that you could not clearly see everything from your vantage point that night?
Well, to expand on that, yes, sir, I did, yeah. If I'm allowed to expand on that, I said that for a reason.
Okay, thank you. That's all the question I
Yeah.
have.
What was the reason you said that?
Well, at first, I couldn't tell you what the position of every officer was. But as the vehicle started backing up, that's when I paid more attention, and that's when I became, again, what I just said earlier, why I questioned why they're not complying.
Thank you, sir. No
Sure.
further questions.
No further questions, Your Honor.
May this witness be finally excused.
No objection, Ms. State.
No objection.
Sir, you may stand down. Thank you very much for your
No,
service.
thank you, Your Honor, I appreciate it.
Be careful on your way down. Call your next witness, please.
State Officer Mr. O'Donnell.
How you doing, Miss Wood? Good morning. If you would please come to the front of the courtroom. And before you have a seat on the witness stand, I need you to turn and face me and raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Please have a seat. You'll be responding to questions from Mr. Lewis and perhaps also Ms. Madsen, who's to your left. You may proceed whenever you're ready, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, sir, could you please introduce yourself to the jury by stating your name and spelling it?
My name is Justin O'Donnell, Justin, capital O, apostrophe, capital D, O, N-N-E-L-L.
And Mr. O'Donnell, how are you currently employed, sir?
I'm currently employed as a crime scene analyst with the Dallas Police Department.
How long have you been with the Dallas Police Department?
I've been with the Dallas Police Department, working as a crime scene analyst for about 7.5 years.
And as a crime scene analyst, are you actually a licensed peace officer?
No, I'm not. I'm a civilian employee.
Okay. Describe for the members of the jury what you do.
What we do as a crime scene analyst, we respond to crime scenes throughout the city of Dallas at the request of patrol and/or detectives. These can be actual residences, apartments, but they can also be things like vehicles that need processed where crimes have been committed. We also respond to hospitals to take pictures and photograph injured people that are victims of crimes. We do this, we initially respond to scenes. We do this through taking pictures and notes. We determine and collect evidence. We also process evidence. We also process evidence for fingerprints. And then ultimately when it's collected, we take things back to the lab, it's packaged up, sent back, or then sent to a destination, and then we do a lot of time writing reports.
And were you with the crime scene unit on January 18, 2017?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And did you respond to a location at 3700 East Side Avenue shortly after 5 a.m. in regard to an automobile shooting?
Yes.
And were you alone, or did you go with someone else at that time?
At the time, myself and CSA Francisco Gonzalez responded together to the location.
And what does CSA mean?
Crime scene analyst.
Okay. Can you describe for the members of the jury what were the conditions that night?
It's not daylight yet, so it's still dark. And if I remember, it was a little misty, a little wet, a little damp. I want to say it wasn't warm, but my definition, I don't know that it was cold, but it was, wintertime, wintry weather.
And what were your initial observations of the scene when you got there?
Originally, when I got there, I talked to some officers that were there. They kind of gave me a rundown as what was going on. They told me a couple vehicles were involved. 2 people were transported to the hospital, and that officers had discharged their 2 officers. I believe 2 officers had fired their service weapons.
Okay, and you testified to this in a general sense, but when you got to the scene, did you take some photographs of the scene?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State Exhibits number 8 through 89. Take a moment to look through those and tell me whether or not those are the photographs that you took that morning.
Yes, they are.
Okay. And do they fairly and accurately depict the crime scene as you observed it that morning?
Yes, they do.
State's going to offer State Exhibits 8 through 89.
Your Honor, I'm not going to have an objection, but can I just have a moment to look through this, make sure I don't want to add anything to this staff?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, I've reviewed states 8 through 89, and I have no objections, no final objections to states 8 through 89.
8 through 89 are admitted for all purposes. You may publish.
Thank you. What was the lighting like that night when you got out there?
Like I said, it was still dark. If I remember, there might have the only exterior lighting was kind of on the, I think under an awning on a parking garage on the back side of that apartment.
Covered parking?
Covered parking, I think was the only lighting that I remember seeing. For the most part, it was still dark.
Okay. And as far as, were the vehicles parked underneath the awning?
I believe so, there were vehicles underneath that there.
Okay. Tell us about your initial walk through the crime scene. What did you observe?
Initially, there was a patrol car on the backside of the building, and then the other involved car around and on the patrol car, there were fired cartridge cases. There were, I believe, a couple on different parts, top of the squad car, and as well as on the ground. There was also another vehicle that had sustained damage from what appeared to be gunfire. There was broken glass on the ground. And then there was also some other evidentiary items that were found on the ground between, I believe, the one patrol car and the other involved vehicle.
Okay, so we'll walk through some of these photographs. There's quite a few of them, so we'll go through most of these very quickly. Looking at State's Exhibit number 8, just in front of the complex.
That is correct.
Number 9 is going to be the left entryway to the back parking lot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. 10 is further down that alleyway.
Correct.
To the left, we can see the white lattice fence. Is that correct?
Yes.
11 is just further down that alleyway.
Yes.
12, we're kind of entering into the back parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. 13, what are we looking at in State Exhibit number 13?
This is just an overall picture. I'm opposite of that alley that I kind of was walking down through. You see the marked Dallas Police patrol car, and then you see another vehicle just to the left of that. You can also see they're kind of hard to see from here, but you can see little orange markers that are on the ground. Those we use to mark evidence that is hard to see or that is small. In this case, they were fired cartridge cases. It's just an overall photograph to depict how I saw it when I got there.
And the vehicle to the left of the squad car photograph, is that going to be the vehicle that you observed the bullet hole defects in?
Yes.
Okay. 14 is just a closer vantage point of that same area.
Yes.
If you note to the left of the photograph, you see several vehicles parked in front of the carport area.
Correct.
Okay. 15, just a closer vantage point, and we start to see the orange markings on the ground, which denotes, as you testified, fire casings.
Correct.
Okay. What are we looking at in State Exhibit number 16?
Again, it's another overall picture from just a different angle. When we take photographs, we take photographs of the area from as many different angles as we can. This is just on the, it's actually, I believe, in the kind of the southeast corner of that parking lot, kind of looking north. You're going to see, you see the marked patrol vehicle, and then you see the other involved vehicle that was damaged, and you can see doors open, or the driver door open on the squad car, and the right front door that's open on the Dodge Journey, I believe is what it is, and then you see there's a white pillow on top of the Dodge Journey.
Okay. 17, just a kind of a different angle, but you had noted in your earlier testimony about broken glass on the ground.
Yes.
We can see that in this photograph.
Yes.
18, different vantage point, same kind of general area. We see the passenger side has been shot out on the dark colored vehicle.
Yes.
19, different view.
Correct.
20, again, that same vehicle.
Correct.
What are we looking at in State Exhibit number 21?
This is a photograph, more of a mid-range photograph, depicting the back of that Dodge Journey. You can see the license plate, and you can also see the white pillow on top.
22, just kind of pan over to the right. See the Dodge Journey as well as the patrol vehicle.
Yes.
23, what are we looking at in State Exhibit number 23?
In front of that, or over there in that corner where that fence was, we were told, we initially had information that the other involved vehicle at some point had driven in those wet leaves and mud. So this is just a photograph, an overall photograph depicting just kind of what you see is the wet leaves and the mud in that corner.
24, kind of same area, just closer view.
Yes.
25, is that the area in which you were describing that you were informed that the vehicle struck the fence at some point?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, can you tell us if you know, what is the material on that fence? Do you know, is that wood or plastic, or do you know?
I don't know what exactly it's made of.
Okay. Well, we do see a section in the middle of the photograph that appears to be damaged on the fence.
Correct.
And as far as the knowledge that you had at that time, you can't say whether or not that was pre-existing damage or damage that occurred that particular night?
Correct.
Has you ever been to this location before?
Not that I can remember.
Okay. State's exhibit number 26, what is this?
This is that patrol vehicle that was in those previous photographs. You see that the door is open, the windows partially rolled down. Again, it's documenting what I see. At the top on the frame, there actually is a defect or an apparent bullet hole that was noted. I used a scale sticker, which is just a small ruler that's a sticker, to assign it a unique identifier. I believe I just assigned a letter to it.
Okay, this is a closer view of State's exhibit 28.
Correct.
That same defect.
That is correct.
Based upon your well, let me ask you this. Do you know how that defect got there?
No, I do not.
Okay. Based on your observations of actually looking at the defect, can you tell whether or not that it was going from inside out or outside in?
Based on my observations, my guess would be is that it's coming toward you. So this is the exterior side of the frame.
Okay.
Being that there's nothing there, when an object hits something, it's going to protrude, but it may not go all the way through. And that's kind of what I would classify as that something hits it, but it doesn't go all the way through, and it just pushes out whatever that surface is. In this case, the door frame.
Okay, so just for clarification, if you're talking about inside out, the inside of the door frame towards the outside, and this would be the outside.
That's correct.
Okay. Here's the inside of that same door. It's kind of difficult to see.
It's coming.
Thank you. Circle what appears to be a corresponding defect on the inside of the door. Is that accurate from your observations of the door?
Yes.
Okay, and again, it appears as though the defect is going from the inside to the outside. It's pushing through the outside of the door. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. State's at number 29, in front of the police cruiser.
Correct.
We see at this point there are several yellow cones with numbers on those. What are those denoting?
The yellow cones are all numbered. We set those down to actually mark evidence and give that piece of evidence ultimately gets the number that's on those cones.
State's at number 30. What are we looking at here?
This is the front of the patrol vehicle. In particular, there's a push bump, black push bumper on the front of the patrol car. And then there's the two stickers that I put on there denote damage that's on the front of the push bumper.
Okay, and again, you're getting certain information, but are you able to testify whether or not this was pre-existing damage or damage that occurred during this particular incident?
I can't say when it occurred or how it occurred.
Okay, is it possible that some of this damage is from a prior incident, not this particular one?
It's possible, yes.
So 31 is just a closer view of the left side, front of the squad car, where you've got this particular sticker with the letter B on there, is that correct?
Correct.
And then here's the other side. How would you describe these, what you observed on the vehicle?
I believe I described them as like scuff marks in my report.
Okay. Now, did you view any video associated with this case?
No, I did not.
Okay. Were you aware that there was a collision between the squad car and the vehicle with bullet defects? Were you aware of that?
I'm sure that we were given that information, but as to seeing video, I didn't see any video that night.
Statement number 33, what are we looking at here?
This is just kind of a mid-range photograph depicting the Dodge Journey. You can see the windows shattered out. There's a marked defect on the door frame, and then another one, I guess, on what is the door frame, and then another one on the actual door, exterior door, part of the door. You see the white pillow on top. Number 15 marks a gun holster.
Okay. 34, just a closer up view of the outside door, passenger door frame of that vehicle.
Yes,
Appears to have a apparent bullet defect.
correct.
35, and I'll just go ahead to 36, is going to be the inside of that same door frame with corresponding damage on the inside of the frame. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you labeled that with letter E. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. 37, the actual frame of the vehicle on the passenger side. 38, a close-up view. You've got that particular item labeled F. What is that?
That is what's going to be a fired bullet that's in the frame.
39 is going to be the back of the Dodge Journey. Is that correct?
Correct.
40 is going to be the front of the Dodge Journey.
Correct.
And you've got a couple of stickers here. What are they denoting?
It denotes damage that was observed on the front bumper.
It's a closer view of that. 41, 42 is going to be a closer view of damage to the front of the vehicle.
Correct.
We've got that labeled G, and then to the right, it's going to be labeled H. Is that correct?
Correct.
43. Looking at it, states number 44.
That is the front of the Dodge Journey. That's the lattice fence that's on the driver's side of it. We had found there was possible bullet holes or defects in that fence.
Going back really quickly, Mr. O'Donnell, to the Dodge Journey, noted that there were defects or damage to the front of the vehicle, but there were no notations of damage to the back of the vehicle. Do you recall looking at the back of the vehicle?
I remember looking at the back of it. I may not have noted it in my report.
Okay. But again, I think you testified earlier that you were made aware of a collision between the back of the Dodge Journey and the front of the squad car. Is that correct?
I don't recall exactly where. We were just told that there was a that there was some type of collision, but I don't remember being told exactly what hit what side, what side, so on and so forth.
All right, so going back to the fence in 44, you said you observed some bullet defects, is that correct?
Correct.
45 is going to be a closer view of that, and then you actually did close up some visual defects.
Correct.
So here's, how many did you observe?
In the previous picture, I think there was 3. That was in the previous picture.
Okay. So eyes denoting one of the defects.
But I think
47 contains J,
correct.
another defect. 48K, another defect.
Correct.
And then 49, another defect, L. So that will make a total of 4.
A total of 4.
Okay. Since it's number 50 again, front view of the Dodge Journey. 51, looking towards the passenger side. Again, we see glass broken out from the passenger side being shot out. Stage number 52 is looking on the driver's side, looking more towards the back of the vehicle. We see that the back driver's side window has been shot out as well, where it appears there's a bullet went through there as well.
It appears so, yes.
Another view of that on the 53. What are we looking at in State Exhibit number 54?
This is a photograph of the interior on the driver's side, on the driver's seat, depicting what's on the driver's seat. You can see that there's what appears to be blood and then some clothing items in a plastic bag.
Both of the front seats appear to be reclined in a pretty much all the way back position.
Yes.
55, just another view of that same area. What's in State Exhibit number 56?
This is a photograph on the front right side of the vehicle, the front passenger side, just depicting what's there. You can see there's bottles and plates and pieces of glass on the floorboard. There's some clothing items on the seat.
Okay. 57 is a closer view of that area. Appears to be a cell phone in the passenger seat.
Correct.
And some jewelry, cell phone, charger. State Exhibit number 58, the floorboard area of the passenger side, front, is that correct?
Correct.
59, again, the front of the Dodge Journey, and you've got some yellow markers on this one as well. On 59, is that correct?
That's correct.
60 is a close-up view of an item that you have marked number 14. What is that?
That's a black wallet.
State number 60. State number 61, you've got number 15. State number 62 is a zoomed in photograph of that, and what is that?
That is a black gun holster.
Okay. State number 63.
This was the trunk of the patrol car. Number 16 is going to mark the item that was recovered in there.
64, close-up view of number 16, and what is that?
That's number 16 is going to be a firearm and a magazine. It's inside that plastic bag.
All right. State number 65, is that the same item that was located in the bag in the trunk of the squad car?
Yes.
And what is it?
That is a Sky 9mm handgun, and then you have the magazine, and then 6 cartridges that were loaded in the magazine.
There appears to be something on the firearm, and what does that appear to you to be?
It appears to be blood.
Okay. State number 66, again, passenger side of the Dodge Journey. State number 67, you've got an item noted with number 17, and what is that?
That's a white colored pillow.
Does that appear to have blood on it as well?
Yes.
Okay. State number 68, appears to be an object on the ground right there. Number 69 is a close-up of the object, labeled number 18, and what is that?
That's a leopard print blanket.
Okay. So you understand that they come out of the vehicle? Or you're not sure?
I don't know I can't say where it came from. I can say that's where it was when I was working the scene.
Okay, fair enough. Number 70, again, a view of the shooting scene with several yellow cones. 71, closer view, that same thing. 72, you have an item you noted, number 1. 73 is a closer view of that item, and what is that?
A Hornady 357 SIG fire cartridge case.
For the benefit of the jury, can you kind of describe how a firearm works and how a casing or a case ends up, I guess, on the ground like this?
In general terms, a semi-automatic handgun, you load a magazine with cartridges. Once the magazine's loaded with cartridges, it's loaded into the firearm. On the top of the firearm is the slide. You chamber around. Cartridge goes into the chamber. It's ready to fire. Every time that the trigger's pulled, the bullet is fired out through the barrel. The fired cartridge case is ejected. It does it every time that you pull the trigger until the gun either jams or you're out of cartridges. And if you have, for instance, a revolver, you manually will load cartridges into the cylinder. Each time you fire, the same principle, the bullet is fired through the barrel, out the barrel, but the cartridges are not ejected. They stay in the cylinder. The cylinder spins until you fired every round, but they're not ejected. In a semi-automatic weapon, they're ejected every time a round is fired.
Is there any rhyme or reason as to where the case, when it's ejected from the weapon, where it may land?
No.
To bounce off something, somebody can kick it, you never know if it lands somewhere anyway, right?
Correct.
Okay. We'll go through these very quickly. Obviously, there are several of them. How many cases did you find at the location?
13.
Okay, so 75 is number 2. State number 76 is number 3. 77 is going to be 4. State exhibit number 77. State exhibit number 78 is going to be casing number 5. State exhibit number 79 is going to be casing number 6. State exhibit number 80 is going to be casing number 7. State exhibit number 81 is going to be case number 8. State exhibit number 82 is going to be case number 9. State exhibit number 83 is going to be case number 10. State exhibit number 84 is going to be case number 11. State exhibit number 85 shows again a zoomed out view on the back of the patrol car. State exhibit number 86 is going to be case number 12. State exhibit number 87 is going to be a close-up view. And in this photograph, where is this particular case located?
It's on the back, I believe the back windshield or the back window. Yeah. Of the patrol vehicle on the passenger or the right side.
State exhibit number 88 is the front of the patrol car, and we've got a case located where?
On the front of the windshield and about the center of the windshield.
Okay. And then finally, state exhibit number 89 is going to be a close-up view of case number 13 on the windshield of the squad car. You kind of described the location of the last two, but if you can kind of briefly describe where you located the other cases. So cases or items number 2 through 10, where were those located?
Those were on the ground on the right side of the passenger side of the patrol vehicle.
Okay, and then you described number 12 and number 13. How about number 10? Where was number 10 located?
Number 10 was in the previous pictures. You see the Chevy Astro van, and it's just underneath like the front bumper just a little.
Okay, and number 11. Where was number 11 located? I'll show that photograph. Let's see. Do you have your report there with you? Where you described that you found number 11?
I have on the ground in an empty parking space on the east side of the Astro van, but I believe that's going to be a typo because I believe it's going to be on the west side of the Astro van.
So on state number 74, if you look here to the right-hand side of the photograph, you see number 11 in the empty parking space to the left of the Astro van.
Correct.
All right, so you documented the scene pretty thoroughly with your photographic evidence. Did you see certain evidence?
Yes.
Why don't you take that as a good spot for a break? Mr. Lewis, thank you very much. Members of the jury, we're going to take our mid-morning break. Please do not discuss this case among yourselves and don't do any independent research. All rise for the jurors. Court's in recess. 15 minutes.